In this lesson, you will learn how to work with operators in Python, which is a fundamental skill for any aspiring software engineer. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to create programs that perform various mathematical calculations, convert from one unit to the other, and you'll be able to apply these concepts to build more sophisticated programs in the future. I've also included an exercise at the end of this lesson to help you achieve just that. So, let's get started and unlock the power of operators in Python. Let's create a new Python file. So, right-click, New, select Python file. Let's name it operators.py. Enter. First, let's look at the basic arithmetic operators in Python. These operators are used to perform basic mathematical operations. We have the addition operator, which is denoted by the plus symbol. We also have the subtraction operator, which is denoted by the minus symbol. We have the multiplication operator, which is denoted by asterisk. We also have the division operator, which is denoted by a /. Then the modulus operator, which is denoted by the percent symbol. These are the 5 basic operators in Python that we will cover in this lesson. Let's begin with the addition operator. Let's create a variable a and assign the value 5. In our previous lesson, we learned how to create a variable to store data. In this example, a is a variable and the value assigned to it is 5. This means that 5 is stored in the variable a. Also, take note of the hash symbols used in my code. In Python, this symbol is used to add comments in your code. Comments are simply notes in your code that are ignored by Python. Comments are very important and they are used in all popular programs. All the lines of text beginning with this hash symbol are referred to as comments. Without a comment, this is actually the only code we've written, which is okay. However, the comments add more meaning to what we are doing. In the next lesson, we'll take a deeper look at using comments in Python. Let's create another variable b and assign the value 3. Let's create a third variable c, and instead of assigning a number as a value, let's assign the expression a plus b. Since a has a value of 5 and b has a value of 3, guess what the value of c will be? Let's use the print function to print out the value of c and see what the output would be. So we type print, open parenthesis, c. Let's run our program. So right click, run operators, and the value of c is 8. Excellent. The addition operator can also be used in different ways. For example, let's write print 5 plus 5. Let's run the program, and we have 10. Let's try another example. We can create a new variable x and say equals a plus 4. Let's print the value of x. So we write print, open parenthesis, x. Let's run the program again, and we have 9. Excellent. Now that you understand how to use the addition operator, you can apply the same understanding to the subtraction, multiplication, and division operators. Let's go back to our code and change all the addition operators to subtraction and see what happens. So let's change this to minus, subtraction, subtraction. Let's run our program. And now we have 2, 0, and 1. Printing the value of c gave us 2 because c is equal to a minus b, which is 5 minus 3. And then printing 5 minus 5 gave us 0. And lastly, printing the value of x gave us 1 because x is a minus 4. A has a value of 5, and so 5 minus 4 is definitely 1. Now, let's change the subtraction operator to multiplication. And so, multiplication, and we'll change this to asterisk, this to asterisk, this to asterisk. Let's run our program again, and we have 15, 25, and 20. All correct. Now, when it comes to using the division operator, The only difference is that you cannot divide by 0. That will create an error. And also, when using the division operator, you should expect to see some decimal numbers. In Python and other programming languages, numbers with decimals are called floating point numbers, or simply floats. Let's change to the division operator now. So, division. Over here, we change this to /. Here, change to / and /. Let's run our program again. And as you can see, we got some decimals in the output. Again, these are called floating point numbers in programming. Now, let's talk about the modulus operator. The modulus operator in Python is denoted by the % symbol. It is used to find the remainder when one value is divided by another. Here's an example. So let's change this to modulus. And over here, let's make it C is equal to A modulus B. Let me clear this. And let's run our program again and see what happens. And A modulus B is 2. As we already know, the variable A has the value 5 stored in it, and B has a value of 3 stored in it. A modulus B means, what is the remainder when you divide 5 by 3? Or you can ask the question, how many times will 3 go into 5? And what is the remainder? Our interest is in the remainder. So A modulus B will be 2. Let's try another example. What will be the result when I write print 10 modulus 3? Let's run our program again, and the result is 1. This is because 3 will go into 10 3 times, and the remainder is 1. Let's try another example. Print 8 modulus 2. What do you think the answer will be? And it is 0. 8 modulus 2 is 0. There is no remainder. Now, let's try something interesting. Let's ask the user to input 2 numbers, and we'll perform various operations with it. In our previous lesson, we learned how to use the input function to receive an input from the user. Let's use it again and learn something new about the input function. Let me clear everything here and type input, open parenthesis, double quotes, enter a number, colon, and space. Excellent. This time, we used a column and an extra space to separate the instruction from the user's input. Let's store all that in a new variable called num1. So, num1 equals. So all these inputs will be stored in this variable called num1. One new thing you'll learn about the input function is that every input is received as text, even if the input is a number. This means that if you intend to perform a calculation with the input, then you need to convert it to an integer. However, this is only required when you are dealing with numbers and calculations. To be able to convert the input to an integer, we need to wrap the entire input statement in an int function, like this. Int, open parenthesis, and then over here, close parenthesis. Excellent. In this example, the entire input operation will be explicitly converted to an integer. Note again that this conversion is only required when you intend to perform a calculation with the input. Let's ask the user to input a second number, and then we'll store it in a new variable called num2. So we can just say num2 equals int, open parenthesis, input, open another parenthesis, double quotes, enter another number, colon, and space. Excellent. Now that we have 2 numbers in 2 variables, we can go ahead and perform our operations. Let's perform 4 arithmetic operations. So I'll start this section by writing a comment, perform some arithmetic operations. It is always good practice to use comments in your code. Let me go up here and add a comment. So, hash receiving input from the user. Excellent. Let me create a new variable for my first operation. So I'll say sum equals num1 plus num2. This will be my first operation. For the second operation, let me find the difference. So I'll say difference equals num1 minus num2. For the third operation, let's find the product. So we say product is equal num1 times num2. And lastly, let's find the quotient. So we'll say quotient is equal to num1 divided by num2. Notice that sum, difference, product, and quotient are all new variables that we just created. However, the sum has an underlining which is shadowing an inbuilt name. And so, PyCharm is recommending that we rename the element. This happens when the variable name you choose conflicts with an inbuilt name in Python. In Python, we have a function called sum. So this variable will conflict with that function. So let's change it to a different name. Let me use total. This is better. Now, let's print the result. So we write print double quotes, the sum of the two numbers is colon, out of the quotes, comma, space, total, which is a variable. For the next result, we can say print, open parenthesis, double quotes, the difference is colon, out of the quotes, comma, space, difference, enter. For the third result, we type print, open parenthesis, double quotes, the product is colon, out of the quotes, comma, space, product. And the last result, we'll write print, open parenthesis, double quotes, the quotient is colon, out of the quotes, comma, space, quotient. Excellent. Let's run this program. Enter a number. So let me start with 5 and 8. All right. So the sum of the two numbers is 13. The difference is -3. The product is 40. And the quotient is 0.625. Amazing. Now that you've been able to achieve all these, let me give you an exercise to try on your own. After you see the question, pause the video and solve it on your own. Afterwards, you can come back and see my solution. I strongly urge you to solve this on your own, as it will help you recall everything you've learned so far and help you to be creative in solving coding problems. Here's the question. Write a program that asks the user for their birth year. Then calculate their age in years, months, and days. Assume that the current year is this year and that there are 365 days in a year. So now pause the video and solve this question on your own. Afterwards, come back and see my solution. Now, here's my solution. Create a new Python file. So I right click, new Python file. Let me call this exercise1.py. First, I'll ask the user to input their birth year. Let me start with a comment. Ask the user for birth year. Next, I'll create a variable called birth year. So, birth year equals, and I receive the inputs. Input, double quotes, enter your birth year, colon, and space. Since I'll be using the birth year to perform a calculation, I will wrap everything in an int function. So, int, open parenthesis, close parenthesis over here. Next, I'll create a new variable to store the current year. So I'll say this year equals 2023. This year is 2023. That is why I'm using 2023. And so in your example, if you're in 2024 or 2025, just use that year. Next, I'll create three variables to calculate the user's age in years, months, and days. Let's start with the comment. Calculate the user's age in years, months, and days. So my first variable will be age in years equal this year minus birth year. Notice that when you are typing and you see a suggestion of what you are trying to type here, just press the tab on your keyboard to complete it. Next, age underscore in underscore months equals age in, let me press tab, age in years times 12. And lastly, age in days equals, in the question we're given 365 days in a year. So I will say age in years times 365. This will give me the age in days. Now let me print out the results for the user. So I'll write a comment, print out the user's age in years, months, and days. So I'll use a print function and say print, open parenthesis, double quotes, and I'll make the output a little interesting. So I'll say, if you were born in, out of the quote, comma, space, birth year, comma, space, another double quote, then you are, colon, I'll say print age underscore in underscore years, comma, years old, comma, or out of the quotes, comma, age underscore in months, comma, months old, comma, or out of the quotes, comma, age underscore in days, comma, days old, period. Let's run this program. So right click, run exercise 1. So if your birth year is 2003, you type it and press enter and see what happens. It says, if you were born in 2003, then you are 20 years old, or 240 months old, or 7,300 days old. I hope your solution was similar to mine. If not, just make your corrections or rewrite the whole program again. This will be so much fun. And congratulations, you just took a giant step into the world of Python programming. I'm excited to continue this journey with you and explore even more amazing things that we can do with Python in the next lesson. If you encountered any errors, feel free to share them in the comment box. I'll be happy to help you out. Thank you for watching and keep up the great work.